Hey, everybody. Welcome to Life According to Dana podcast. Yay! Just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you for tuning in with us. And I am just excited about this new kind of pivot in my life where I get to just share some things through my life that I've experienced. And hopefully, they'll be a blessing to you and help you maybe transition, out of things a little bit quicker, maybe help you get unstuck from places you've been kind of set in or settled into. And maybe by me sharing my life adventures or stories or experiences, it might be a blessing to you. As I sat and I thought about, wow, what should this, really be about? And the word life just kept coming to me. We all live life. We all experience life differently. We all have things that happen to us that we wish hadn't happened to us, or we all experience things. They may sound similar, but they're different for each individual. And that's just kind of where I want to begin. Like you and I, we could go through the exact same situation, but we might process it different. We might handle it different. Recently I was invited to speak for a domestic violence group. And, I recognize that domestic violence comes in many forms. It's not limited to women. Children experience it. And I think sometimes we forget that our children experience everything that we live through in life. And I just wanted to take a moment just to speak about that issue as well, because, we're going through it, yes, as the adult, but if we have children in tow, they're living through the experiences too, and they don't have the benefit of the years that we may have been regimented to or kind of gotten used to this, type of lifestyle. But this is new to them, but they're forming opinions. They're learning to navigate through this from a child's eyes. And so they can take that into their adult life. And then they're like getting preconditioned because of our crazy, and we just kind of tell them to suck it up and deal with it, just like maybe our parents told us. Well, life's not that clear cut. And we have to remember that, as I said earlier, like each person, we experience things differently. We process things differently. But one of the great things that I'm coming to learn and that I have learned about God is he's going to work from the inside out. He's not going to work on your external look. He's going to work on your eternal look. And your eternal look is going to start on the inside, internal to get to eternal. And, a lot of times people focus their attention, and nothing's wrong with this. If you want to, put on a little lipstick, a little blush or whatever, that's cool. But don't let that be your focus. Let God move on the inside of you. Let God begin to chip away at the things that you've stored up inside of you, those things that are causing you to make what my subject is about today, choices. We make choices in life and then we act like we didn't make the choice. A lot of times we sit, in our own things, and we kind of develop a victim, honestly, mentality, because we're acting like life is just happening to us and we have nothing to do with it, but we do. It's like, I remember, I went from a series of bad relationships to another series of bad relationships. And at some point I had to admit that, okay, so I'm the common denominator here. So maybe, just maybe, I might want to look at what choices I was making that was causing the same results to repeat in my life. Now, I know that's a hard ask for some of us, and it doesn't happen, all at once sometimes. Sometimes it's a gradual realization, but at some point, you have to let God heal the wound. At some point, you have to let someone help you pivot, help you change. But first you have to pause and recognize, a lot of the rehab things like AA and, they tell you, you have to do steps, that you have to one of your steps is self-realization or something, and that's good and well. And that's the same, in you developing your walk or your spiritual life or just who you are. You have to admit at some point that something's wrong, and the thing that's wrong might be you. It can't always be, everybody else. At some point, God is going to pause you enough that he can get you into a place where you can hear him. And that's not just God, that's just life. We sit sometimes and, we talk to God about everybody, but we don't talk to God about ourselves. And can I tell you something I've learned is that God normally talks to me about me. And it's not prophetess, it's not pastor, it's not old great one, it's, hey, Dana, that's kind of messed up what you just said or what you just did. Now let's fix that. Let's work on you. And he just does not. I mean, if the conversation that you're having with God is always about somebody else, and he's responding to you favorably all the time, trust me, you are not hearing the voice of God, because the voice of God is going to bring correction to you. And sometimes, I don't know who how God talks to you, but sometimes God just straight up tells me I am wrong. Go back, repent, apologize. I have apologized to people that I know I did not do anything to. I have legitimately I made the choice to make myself vulnerable and go back because they needed that apology more than I needed to be stubborn and not give it. So sometimes, we just find ourselves and we just have to make the sacrifice of going, I'm sorry. Honestly, it's not taking anything from you. But I can tell you what will rob you is choosing to not forgive. Unforgiveness, you hear these little adages, and these little slogans. Oh, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. Well, that is true, because what happens when you enter into a place of unforgiveness, that person has power over you. You are giving your energy, you're giving your power, you're giving your peace of mind, you're giving all that over to someone that does not deserve it. You're sitting there and you're laying awake at night, mad at this person. Sometimes they dead and gone, or they done moved on with their lives. They not even thinking about you. But now you are wrapped up, tied up, stuck, looking busted, crusted, and you can't move forward. You don't understand. They hurt me. They did this. They did that. Yeah, we know. I know. And I really do get it. And I really do understand because, everybody has those things happen in life, where people hurt us, people disappoint us. Let me share this with you. I remember one day, and I had legitimate reason to be so offended by what had happened to me. And I was like, oh my goodness, this person did this, they did that, they lied, they set people against me, they were just malicious, and they say they saved. They say they saved, Lord, and they supposed to be in the ministry and blah, 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 blah. Oh my goodness, I caught myself in a loop of pity that would have put so many people to shame. And then I heard this wonderful thing that I call divine silence. I heard nothing. And then when I caught my breath long enough to actually hear the response from God, he said, the only way you can be disappointed in someone or something is if you have invalid expectations. So, okay, if it's a cobra and it strikes you, sticks its fangs into you, why would you be disappointed that the cobra bit you when you stuck your hand down there to be bit? Valid expectations. Why would you expect someone that lies all the time, someone that comes to you and tells you everybody's business, why would you be shocked when they told everybody yours? Old people, man, they used to say a dog that brings a bone will take a bone. In other words, if they come to you with a bunch of garbage about somebody else, you best believe anything you telling them is subject to be public knowledge within the next 24 hours. Valid expectations, man. You have to choose to make these kind of decisions for your life. You have to choose to be actively involved in your own madness, in your own life. And you know what? And when you find that, oh, that was me, okay, repent. Repent. Let God do the work to fix it, to heal that, to just to transform that into something he can use to bring glory to the kingdom, because you would do more benefit in your humility, more benefit and you being the buzzword now is transparent. And it cracks me up because half of what people call transparent is not transparency. Because if you were really transparent, you wouldn't be sitting up there trying to marginalize, what happened to you, or you wouldn't be trying to put a spin on it. That's not what I mean by pivot. I mean, a pivot is stop where you are, change direction. Because so many people are trying to put a spin on something because they don't want to look like a bad person or a bad guy. But listen, the word says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Yes, that's you too, boo. That's me too. We all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So I just think it's just kind of ridiculous to act like you all that in a bag of chips, like you never did anything wrong. And usually people that are very judgmental and critical of other people, they hiding something. I'm just putting it out there. I'm gonna tell you in this podcast, I'm gonna kick over some sacred cows. I'm probably gonna blow some people's stuff up, but it's okay because now it's time to move on from these things. Now it's time to refocus, to get your attention back to God where it belongs. Stop making these people idols. Stop putting these people up on pedestals, man. Listen, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and then the rest will be added to you. I have like an aversion. I just have like a problem when people, tell me, oh, girl, you about to blow up. I don't want to blow up. I don't want to blow up. I don't want to be a boss. I know that is not popular right now, but I do not want to blow up. I do not want to be a boss. I just want to be impactful. I just want to be able to speak into someone's life and let it change for the better. I just want to step in the gap and do something for someone that no one else is willing. Let me get back to them pity parties and choices. Just one day I decided that I was going to talk to God about the mega ministries, the big ministries, in my city and, and abroad. And, and I was like, God, how is it that a ministry like mine is able to impact hundreds of people's lives at a time? Just for example, like at Thanksgiving, buy hundreds of turkeys and distribute them, go pay for them, raise the money to get them, take them to the people's doorstep half the time, or just take them to centers where they can distribute it to people in need. I said, how is it that I'm able to do that, but their local church isn't even ministering to their need? And, again, divine silence, and I just know God just waited for me to catch my breath, take a pause, because, a dialogue is actually a two-way thing. Like a lot of people talk to God, but they never wait to hear his response or his answer because they so busy talking, and so when I caught my breath again, God said, you exist because of what they won't do. And see, a lot of times we have the wrong perspective on the moves and the things of God, and, or just on life in general, man, because we just get to that little complaining thing and you can't even see the big picture, and you have to trust God with the big picture. I have just throughout my life it's been an amazing journey for me, but I have to, pause and look at the choices that I made that got me into some scary stuff sometimes, like the people I chose to be around, the life that I chose to live, led me into situations. And, I thank God that I was under divine protection because I was just acting kind of slow. I was just acting, like there was no consequences to my choices and my decisions, or I just wasn't thinking them through for most parts. I was just living in the moment, getting this done and getting that done, and really wasn't thinking about, oh, you could go to jail for that. Or I really wasn't thinking about, how this made me look to other people or even to myself, because shame is a terrible thing. But shame a lot of times is a result of the choices that we made. Sometimes choices have been made for us that we had nothing to do with. I am so not trying to victim shame anybody, because I know things happen to us that are out of our control. But what I'm talking about right now is those things that are in our control. Those choices that we're making to just actually live this way instead of that way. Welfare. Welfare was designed to be a temporary assistance, but people have made a lifetime mission of it. It's just part of their life. And, but those are choices. You can't sit back and say, oh, the man this, the man that, when you're choosing that, because we all have the right to choose. Not saying the choice that you make to do something different that maybe nobody in your family has ever done, that it may not be difficult, that it may not feel, intense. It may, but you can succeed. You can be successful. You can move out of that situation, but you have to choose. The word talks about choose ye this day who you're going to serve. You're going to serve money. You're going to serve a boss. You're going to serve something, but you have the choice. I'm amazed at where I am right now in life. And I promise you, it is absolutely, without a question in my mind, it is the result of choosing to serve God, choosing to follow him hard, choosing to follow after him with all that I have. I really don't try to please people. I try to please God, because at the end of the day, I'm more reverent, fearful, terrified, whatever you want to call it, of God than I am of you. And see, I get a little sketchy, around people that don't fear God, because if you would hustle his people, I know you will hustle me. If you would manipulate the system to benefit you and your people are starving, I am terrified of you, because if you don't have any reverence or respect for who God is, I know you don't give 2 cents about me. And, and that's where I'm seeing, a lot of people as I mentor people, as I disciple people, it's amazing to me. And, they'll say, it's just something different about you. You just seem real. No, I have a shepherd's heart. And, in school, one of the things that hit me so hard was I was studying about servant leadership. All types of leadership styles are a choice. You can choose to be a boss and have everybody work for you, or you can choose to be a leader and work with them. And, it's just amazing to me when it talks about a servant leader. They put themselves behind their people. They put their people first. Their whole driving force is to see people be successful, to be, impactful, not only in their lives on the job, but to be impactful throughout their life. And that is the heart of God. He doesn't just want to talk to you about your church life. He wants to talk to you about life. And so a lot of times I think we forget, that God is really interested in everything about us. He's interested in every aspect of our life. He's concerned about our children. He's concerned about marriage. He's concerned about being single. He's concerned about how you're navigating, how you're pivoting through life, and how life is moving you in this direction or that direction. He's concerned, about the choices that we're making. So if we seek him in our choices, then those choices are directed by him. Those choices are ordained by him. And so because they're moving in accordance to his plan for your life, it's falling on him to make these things happen. I am so not dependent on people to do anything for me, but I know God uses people. I'm not dependent on a person, introducing me to anyone, or I just feel like this. If you do something for me, then you did it because God unctioned you to do it. So if God unctioned you to do it, why do you feel like I owe you something? What was your motive in doing this for me? I'm still talking about choices. And you have to be careful who you choose to let in your inner circle. God blew my inner circle up so sweet. Oh my goodness. It don't even exist. I was like, wow. I mean, I felt like at some points in my life that God just set death charges to everything around me. And it would just like simultaneously blow up. I remember, just things it just felt like I went through a season of loss, or I went through, a season of giving everything away. You ever have God do that to you? Just tell you, just give away everything in your house, all things new, but not tell you how you're going to get all things new. And, so it's been funny to me, man. Right before I moved into my house, I was living in a nice apartment. My apartment was actually probably as big as some people's houses, if not bigger. And it was in a nice area. And, but I wanted my own home. And that was a desire I expressed to the Lord. And I remember my lease was running out that same year. And, of course, my lease ran out at a time where I couldn't see where I was going. And sometimes you find yourself and you're standing in a fork in the road. You're standing, if I go this way, well, I know you'll bless me. But if I go this way, yeah, you'll bless me too. But I know over there is something bigger and better. I can feel it. I can sense it. I feel it pushing me, forward. Or I can choose to settle here and I'll be all right. So I had a choice to either tell the people, I had to give them 60 days notice to tell them that I was leaving. I wasn't going to renew my lease, or I could sign the lease and be stuck there for another year. If I didn't renew my lease, then I had to pay market value, which was it was more than what I was paying. I'm going to say it like that. And so I sat and I got quiet before the Lord, and I chose. I chose with no safety net. I said, okay, I'm going to choose door number one. I'm not renewing my lease, and I'm going to trust God. Well, I had found a house, and right before my lease came due, or I had to make the decision, I lost the house. Everything blew up at the last moment. The bank had gave me, a loan, and right when it came time, maybe 2 weeks before I was supposed to close, they withdrew their offer. Now I got to sign this paper and decide, am I going to trust God to fix this, or am I going to go back to the comfortable place? So I decided to go to the uncomfortable place because I knew God wouldn't let me fall. He had proven that to me time and time again. The very apartment I was living in, no one knows to this day, really how I got that apartment outside of God. And he was building me up, man. He's just building me up to a place of faith that I could trust him in the invisible. I could trust him with no safety net. I could choose to walk out on the water. So that's what I chose. So right after that, I got sick. I was hospitalized for 7 days. And it was the day I came home from the hospital that the bank withdrew the offer. Now, I've signed this lease. We don't know where we're going to live in 2 months, but it's okay. And I remember I talked to the lady on the phone. I said, is there anything I can do to change your mind? And she was like, no, we want to, just rude, nasty, and I was like, okay, please, alter egos, stay in check. Lord, help me not tell this lady what I really, 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 really want to say. So he did. And I got off the phone. I told my son what happened. And he said, well, what are we going to do? I said, I am going to sleep. I'm taking a nap. And I went to sleep. I just straight up went to sleep. And I didn't know my realtor. She was sending me these really oh my God, these houses were terrible. And I was like, yeah, no. I had already seen what I felt was my house. And I remember the day I saw it. It was so peaceful in here. And I was like, Lord, thank you. And when we went outside, the owner of the house, she said, you'll be the 5th offer on the house. And, we're closing tonight at 5. And I looked at my realtor and she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I am not getting in a bidding war. I can tell you that. Well, as that worked out, come to find out, I was the only offer. And then my stuff just got blew up. Okay, so fast forward, month and a half goes by, and the house had went off the market, and then all of a sudden, the house came back on, y'all. The house came back on the market. It was $10,000 cheaper. So I called my realtor and I told her, did you see? And she said, no, I didn't, I didn't see that. Let me call the realtor. And she was like, ooh, yeah, they messed that whole deal up and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so long story short, we put a bid in, and I remember the mortgage company had a bank as well. The real estate company had a bank as well. They were like, well, we're going to try and push it through here. Okay, now let me lean in and say this. Your word that you're standing on is going to be tested. It is, I'm going to say it again, it is going to be tested. There are going to be things that are going to come against it, and you are going to just absolutely have to just flat-footed stand in peace and in faith. And so I was like, yeah, And she was like, oh, we keep trying to send this through and it won't go through. God just kept saying, I got you. I got you. I told you when you saw your house, you would know it was yours because you would feel peace. And this is the only house that I felt that in. So I said, okay. And I was like, it'll work eventually. She said, well, we're going to work on this through the weekend. I was like, okay, yep. And she said, I'll call you first thing Monday. I said, okay. And, and I just didn't worry about it. I just didn't sweat it. So Monday came and she was like, I just don't understand why we can't get this to go through. And I said, I don't know, but eventually it will. And she was like, okay, so you got blah, blah, blah in the bank. I said, no, that's wrong. I have like 3 times that in the bank, because since the last time I had talked to her, God had moved things around. He had moved things around, and I had not what they needed. I had 3 times what they needed. So when I told her that, she was like, oh, game changer, call you right back. So they ran the numbers again and everything went through. Now I had already had my home inspection and everything from the time before. And because I'm a veteran, that home inspection belonged to me, not the special mortgage company that withdrew their offer for my original loan. So everything moved really fast. So everything moved into place. So when it was time for me to move, as I had gave my apartment complex notice, oh yeah, I was gone. I moved the day before my last day to be there for that month, and found a moving company that moved me. God told me to give away everything. Choices. Now I could have kept it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't messed up. But he said, give away everything, all things new. I was like, okay. So gave away everything. My son surprised me. We had went somewhere, show or something. He said, oh, Mom, let's run in here and look at some stuff. Walked out of that store, house full of furniture. House full of furniture. Being delivered the day we were moving. So the day we moved, the furniture beat us to our house, to our new house. I closed one day. The next day we moved. Yeah. So the furniture beat us here. So when we got here, all we had to do was pull in the driveway, open the door. They came in, bought the new furniture, set it up, and they was gone. As soon as they pulled out the driveway, the mover truck pulled up. They unloaded the stuff, bought it in, and they were gone. Everything happened so smoothly. But before it happened smoothly, it was a nightmare. Choices, man. Just because you choose the right thing doesn't mean that thing won't be challenged. So don't let fear of knowing all the moving pieces keep you from taking that leap of faith or taking that step of faith and to choose to do the right thing, to choose to do the God thing. Because sometimes it can look like the right thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the God thing. You know, so many times you're going to come to places, you know, where you just going to just buck up against something. And, you know, you're going to get tired enough to say, God, I want to choose to change. I want to choose to make the decision that I am tired of living like this. I am exhausted of doing it my way. Well, that's not working for me, Lord. So let me see. Let me try it your way. Let me try it a different way. Let's choose to make different choices. You know, as I said earlier, it's not sometimes the easiest thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. I'm going to stop here. And we're going to pick up on this later, but I just want you to be blessed. I pray you are encouraged. I want you to not be afraid to choose the difficult thing, because remember, you're not walking out this life alone. You have someone in there that's fighting for you. You have angels of the Lord moving on your behalf. You have people that are encouraging you. You have people that are uplifting you. That's what this podcast is about. It's life according to Dana. These are things that I have personally experienced, and I pray that they are words that will encourage you to move forward and to make choices and know that you are not walking or standing alone. You are moving according to the time frame that's in your life. It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late to choose to do something differently. I was 50 years old when I went back to school. I'm about to turn 62. So be encouraged, be uplifted. Don't forget to tune in next week to our podcast, Life According to Dana. You can catch this on Spotify. You can also see this on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called Life According to Dana. Don't forget to hit the follow button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to just become part, you know, of our network. And just when you need a word of encouragement, you'll be able to go to the YouTube channel, view some messages that I've spoken in the past, you know, or come back and listen to this podcast again, you know. And I really hope that something you heard today encourages you or uplifts you. I'll see you next week. And just remember, you can choose to do something different starting today. Be blessed.